Howdy. So I'm a high altitude runner. I run probably 3 times a week. Well, in the summers, anyways. Winter, I try and do at least once a week if I can. But about maybe 10-ish years ago, there was this big controversy online about Vibram five finger minimal shoes and how they were sued for other big shoe manufacturers because they stated that their shoes were actually medically beneficial for your feet. And they actually, I think they settled out of court. I'm not sure really the details of what and why, but well, I'm here to tell you, and there's a lot of folks on YouTube that talk about minimal shoes, and most of these people are, we'll just say they're hype type people. They go with the quote unquote latest technology shoes, and all of them are hypercritical of minimal shoes because basically because they have not put in the effort to build up the musculature in their feet and their ankles. And I'm here to tell you that minimal shoes are basically the best things you could ever possibly put on your feet for any type of running, extreme sports, high altitude stuff, rocky terrain, anything, except for possibly snow and water, really cold stuff, because minimal shoes tend to be as minimal, not very waterproof. But here is my favorite shoe in the entire universe. These are beat in pretty good. These are the Vibram V-Trail 2.0s. And I have just about worn through the tread right here in the middle part. Now I actually have, I think, 4 pairs of these. Matter of fact, got a brand new pair right here in the box. And so when I wear out some of my other ones enough, I'll go ahead and start using those. I tend to buy them on sale. But so, you know, if anyone doesn't know, Vibrams are basically like a rubber sole with no padding. They're obviously zero drop, and your toes get to splay out in these things. And I would say that these are the best for doing extreme anything because, well, at least for myself, these guys have reinforcement in the toes right here. This like a rubber material right here. And I always burn through the material in the toes on my other models of Vibrams. Let's see, I got, these are the V-Trail 1.0s. Let's see if I got some holes in there. Well, you could see a little rub spot right there. That's going to break through eventually. But V-Trail 1.0s are really super sweet, but not quite as beefcake as the 2.0s. And then my other go-tos, which I have found recently, these are Xero shoes. This is, I think, the Mesa Trail, perhaps. And they do, in fact, have much more, not padding, but a thicker rubber sole, but that's all you get is just this amount of sole. And, you know, you can do this kind of thing with them. These are definitely more beefy. They have a Prio model, which is a little less beefy than these, but these are kind of like my wet, muddy, or cold weather style shoes if I just don't feel like beating my feet up with V-Trails. What else? Over the years, I've gotten their, I forget what these are called, but they're kind of like wool lined. And you might think, I mean, these are okay as long as you're not getting your feet wet, because they will go into the toes and you're going to get wet toes, and that's just absolutely no fun. But they're a decent model. And then let's see here. We have, this is actually what I use for snow, water, and any kind of like really super cold weather. I usually put in waterproof socks in these things, maybe wool socks, and go for it. And these are basically like the V-Trail, V-Trail, the Mesa Trail, these guys, but with the waterproof uppers and a little bit more extras on the top. So I may put gaiters on these guys. But, you know, my whole thing is ultra minimal, and so these are a hell of a lot lighter than your average winter boot or something like that. And, you know, I have recently done some runs that I put on YouTube. You can look this up. It's the Lobo to Wheeler Traverse. I got 2 of those videos, and I used the V-Trail 2.0s on both of those 30-mile, 10,000 plus elevation gain runs, hikes. And what's hilarious is everyone's always asking me, man, do your feet hurt after that? And it's like, no. Do your knees hurt? No. Do your hip? No. No, none of that hurts. You know, when you're running on minimal shoes, you land on the front of your foot and it kind of, it rolls into it, like, so you're like, right? And so you're using the arch, this part of your foot, which is an actual muscle, to absorb the blows. And when you immobilize this part of your foot, the arch, which, you know, typically most other shoe manufacturers and shoe doctor people are like, you must have support in your arch, which is exactly opposite of what you should be doing. That causes you to do a heel strike, especially when the heel is thicker. You don't have a zero drop shoe. Heel strike first, that transmits the shock and everything else into your knees and your hips. And that's why people get all kinds of medical problems by not using the proper minimal shoes doing large runs. And most runners, after some number of years, you know, they have really bad medical problems, whether it's with their knees, shin splints, hip problems, never mind blisters and other stuff like that. This shoe, you won't have anything ever happen like that, ever. They do require you to put in some effort and build up the muscles in your feet, but once you're good, you're good. You're never going to want to go back to normal shoes. So I wanted to make this video because I'm just seeing so much bullshit on the internet about minimal shoes. Like I said, Vibram got sued a while back for saying these are good, so people kind of took that and ran with it, meaning that they're actually bad, but that's not the case. It was just a matter of like corporate interests and money, big money being spent on stuff. So if you want the best experience ever, the best outdoor experience ever, running like you're a little kid with your shoes off, back when you're like 5 years old, these are going to be the closest thing you could possibly do to it, and it's highly worth it in my opinion. It's a much more free-flowing running gait, and you're much more nimble on your feet when you can hear up here, when you can feel every little bit of the ground with your feet. That means you're going to be able, your body will naturally react instantly within milliseconds. And one other thing I wanted to just mention is that, you know, a lot of people end up rolling their ankles doing extreme stuff. That can't happen with these. Well, it probably could, but it won't. Because if you land on the side of your foot, like so, right, or so, you don't have a torque point. There's no, you know, say like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of material on here. So that torque point with a normal shoe, once you get to that like point, right, and let's say you're not expecting it, boom, the shoe just causes your entire ankle to torque one way or the other, and that will actually snap an ankle, no problem. With these, you land on the side. You're just still landing on the side. It may not feel good, but your whole entire ankle isn't going to go whack, you know. Huge, huge, huge advantage. And I've done a couple of competitive races, and, you know, I'm running past like 30 people that have rolled their ankles hobbling down the trail, and I'm like, no problems with these. And so that's my spiel. Get yourself some minimal shoes and stop paying attention to the bullshit that the big shoe manufacturers are feeding everyone. And also the bullshit the shoe doctors are feeding everyone with this arch support crap. Anyway, rant over. Bye.